Nearly three-quarters of U.S. hotels say they have to lay off more employees if they don't receive a new round of government stimulus. That's according to a survey from the American Hotel and Lodging Association. And the association's CEO, Chip Rogers, joins us live now from Washington. Chip, thank you so much for being with us. So just walk us through, as the new stimulus round sort of hangs in the balance, what's at stake now for the hospitality industry?
Well, thousands of hotels and millions of jobs, frankly. If you think about this process, we had the original CARES package way back in March, and some of the money started flowing in April. But that was a lifetime ago, and that money was intended, even according to the law, to only last 8 to 10 weeks. So now you have these thousands and thousands of small business owners, and that's what the hotel industry is: small business owners who are running out of money. And in many places, there are shutdowns, there are quarantine rules. There's no business travel, and so they're on the brink of collapse.
So even once there is a vaccine, even once things are back to normal and there is a new round of stimulus, what do you think the hotel industry in this country looks like 1 to 2 years from now? Do you anticipate that there will be perhaps fewer hotel chains? Do you anticipate that perhaps, there'll be more hotels in sort of big cities compared to more rural areas? How will COVID-19 and the pandemic change the hotel landscape in this country permanently?
Well, it's interesting right now. It's actually the reverse of what you just suggested. It's the urban areas that are getting destroyed. The interstate markets, some of the vacation markets are hanging in there. They'll be able to survive a little bit longer. But when you see hotels like the Hilton in Times Square in New York shut their doors for good and things like that, I mean, this is just a travesty. And it is these urban centers where all the jobs are located that are being devastated by this, because there are no large conventions, and the business travel that really helps those hotels make it, that business travel is gone. So when we compare the urban center hotels to where they were this time last year, they're down by about 70% in revenue, and that's just not sustainable.
So is the hotel sector, you mentioned the cities are faring worse off than perhaps rural areas. How will rural areas be able to stay afloat a little bit? How will they be able to hold on that much longer than perhaps more urban areas? Is it by appealing to people who are local travelers? Is it about appealing to more domestic tourists? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, right now what's happening is more people are driving, and that's a good thing for those interstate-based hotels. People are getting in their car, price of gasoline is very low, and they don't want to get in an airplane, though I fly a lot and I have no problem with it. But in addition to that, it's just the overall cost. If you think about the property taxes, the mortgage that you have to pay, or the debt you have to pay on that hotel, and the number of people that work at the hotel, it's much lower cost to run one of these non-urban hotels than it is in an urban center where you get all the regulations, all the taxes. They're usually full-service hotels with hundreds, if not thousands, of employees, sometimes tied to a convention center. All that activity is gone, so it's much more expensive to run those urban hotels, and that's why we believe that the non-urban hotels will be able to hang on a little bit longer, but it's really bad for everybody right now.
And even once there is a vaccine, even once, as I mentioned, things are back to normal, how long do you think that travelers, tourists, potential clients will continue to still adopt precautionary behaviors well into next year?
I think the tourist and the leisure market actually has performed okay this year. But remember, that's only a small percentage of the revenue that's generated in the hotel industry. And so when we get past the vaccine and the therapies, which seem to be going quite well, I think that leisure travel will bounce back quicker than anything. It's the business travel, but more importantly, the meetings, conferences, and conventions that we're most concerned about, because those are the type of events that may not come back for a year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years.
So meetings, conferences, and conventions, that's what's really hitting hotels in the urban areas. Chip Rogers live for us there. Thank you so much. Appreciate you joining us.